booktubing world. It is I, Capri Nicole, and I'm back with another video. So today I have created my first official book tag. So I made up my own book tag because in lieu of one of my favorite seasons, fall, I decided to come up with a pumpkin painting book tag. So in this video, I want to say no books were harmed during this time. Please protect your books. Do not get paint on them. Be very careful with where you paint, where you decide to paint. I'm taking a risk in painting on my bookshelf just because this is the best place to film for me. So do be careful with your books. So the point of this tag is to paint a pumpkin however you want to paint it. I have an idea. I saw a picture of how I want to paint my pumpkin. So I have 13 questions, and all 13 questions are based off of something spooky, fall-like, or Halloween related. So you just answer those 13 questions while you paint your lovely pumpkin. And yeah, I'm definitely going to tag a few people in this video. I want to see what you guys come up with. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to like sketch an outline of, well, take the sticker off. Oh, stickers. Sketch an outline of what I'm not painting and what I am painting, because I don't want to get it confused. So yeah. So now that I have everything set up, I got my paint here. I already got some on my finger, so I got my pizza box cardboard, you know, real professional painting like. Okay, so as you can see, I have a completely different outfit on. It's a completely different day, and something clearly went wrong. So when I recorded the video, at one point I moved it just to make the angle better, and I guess when I moved the camera, it ended up sitting right in front of the fan. So the entire time that I was talking, the fan was just muttering, like muting everything I was saying, so all you hear is like the fan in the background. So I actually have to redo the tag, and I'm just gonna insert the question so that you guys can know what the questions are. Ideally, I wanted to do the tag painting the pumpkin and answering the questions, but it didn't work out that way because of where I put my camera. So right now the fan is off, and I know in like 5 minutes I'm gonna be sweating, but it's okay. I painted her as a little bee because I feel like this year I've been super busy and I've been doing a lot more than I usually do. I'm known for being a really busy person, but I feel like this year I've been doing a lot of stuff for me, and a lot of stuff has been changing and things have been going crazy, but I'm really proud of myself. And yeah, so this little pumpkin pretty much represents that. So I'm gonna do the questions for the tag so that I can tag my peeps in this video. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to hold this pumpkin the whole time. Okay, so as I said before, there's 13 fall/Halloween themed things, and with each thing there is a question. So the first one is ghost, and the question is name a character that died that you wish you could bring back to life. So for this question, you have to make sure that you do not spoil anybody. Make sure you let people know what book you're going to talk about before you say who died and who you would bring back to life. So for me, I picked Heartless, and if you have not read this book, please stay away. And the character that I would bring back to life would be Jess. He was such a good character, and I was so upset. Like, even though we knew what was going to happen from the start of the book, I was just like hoping something would happen, that it wouldn't, his death wouldn't happen. So yeah, that's not how it all unfolded. But I loved his character. I loved the love story in this book, and I really was rooting for them, and I was hoping that the path that it was supposed to take would not happen, but I knew it was going to happen anyway, so it was just like hard to read. But yeah, so I definitely would bring back Jess. So the next one is Jack-o'-lantern. So for this one, you have to name a character that had an alter ego or pretends to be something that they weren't. So for this one, I chose Beneath a Scarlet Sky, and I chose the main character, Pino Layla, who was pretending to be a Nazi. Well, he was a Nazi driver, but he was ideally a spy for his family, and he was trying to get revenge for his, for Italy, because they were dealing with a lot of hardships and the trauma of the Nazis being there. So the entire time he was driving around, one of the generals that were in this war, all the while that he was seeing his family die, his friends die, and yeah, so he was like a master of disguise in this book. So that's who I chose for that question. So the next one is Cemetery. So for this one, you have to name a character that you felt was unnecessary and you would just like kill off from the book, from existence, from everything. So for me, I chose Claire from Ship It. Yeah, this book I tried to read during a 24-hour readathon, and it went terribly wrong because I did not like this main character at all. Everything that she was doing was so just not okay, and it just was like it affected people's livelihoods, and it affected people's lives, and I was just like not for it all. She was like obsessive and crazy, and I know like the whole point of it was to show that she wasn't a crazy fan. She was just, trying to get two characters together that she really loved. So yeah, but for me, I would just get rid of this whole character. I really would get rid of this whole book because I was just over it. So in this book, it follows a main character, Claire, who is given the opportunity to ask a question during a panel of these two characters that are in her favorite show. And there's this whole thing going around with these two male characters where there's like fanfics of them and everyone says that they're in love. So she ends up asking about that, and their response ends up spiking a whole bunch of issues as far as the press is concerned. So they bring her in during the tour to try to water down those press issues, and during the entire time she was just causing all type of problems, and it was just a mess. I couldn't take it. I was just like, I wanted this book to end so badly. So I would get rid of this character. I would get rid of this book, and I would just tell this author I get her point. Like, I get what she was trying to do, but it was so bad. Like, it was so bad. Like, if it was me and I was in that situation, I would be so uncomfortable, and she was just too problematic for me. So, bye-bye, Claire. So the fourth one is Spooky. So for this one, you have to name a book or character that creeped you the hell out. So for this one, I chose the book You, and I haven't read this book yet, but I've heard some crazy things about it, and it talks in a way that makes you feel like they're talking directly to you, and they are coming out with a TV series or TV movie or something like that, so I definitely want to get into that. But I chose that because I haven't really read any like scary books this year. I've read books that were like thrillers or mysteries, but I haven't read any books that creep me out for the most part. So I just chose a book that I haven't read yet, and I do plan on reading that book. But as you know, my TBR list is extensive, so I'll get to that when I can. So the fifth one is costume. So for this one, you have to pick a character's costume that you would love to wear every day, or a character's outfit that you would like to wear. So for this one, I chose Snot Girl, and she doesn't have a costume, but I just like the way she dresses. And Snot Girl is a graphic novel, and I read it during Booktubathon, and it was like super cutesy, and it has some issues in there for me, and I gave it a 3-star. But at the end of the day, I love the way that she dressed, and she's like a blogger and talks about fashion and stuff like that. So a lot of her outfits were super cutesy, and it reminded me a lot of the things that I usually wear. So yeah, I would definitely take one of her outfits from her closet. So the next one is candy. So for this one, you have to name a book or a series that you cannot get enough of. So for me, obviously, I would choose Throne of Glass. If you have not seen my October TBR, I will be rereading the entire series, hopefully within the month of October. I don't know how fast I'm going to be able to finish it, but that's what I plan on doing. But aside from Throne of Glass, because I feel like that's all I talk about on my channel, I chose the book Black Swan Affair by K.L. Craig because when I read this book, I was super obsessed with it. I felt like I finished this really fast, and it involves the main character who was in kind of like a love triangle, and I really wanted to know who she would end up with, and it was just like plot twist after plot twist, and like I didn't know what was gonna happen, but at the end she chose who I wanted her to choose, so that's all that really mattered to me. So yeah, this definitely was a book that I was obsessed with while I was reading it. So the next one is Glowstick. So for this one, you have to choose a character that helped the main character achieve a goal or a mission in the book. So for this one, I chose It's a Wonderful Death. Now this book this book I got while I was in a book club for a short amount of time, I think in like 2 years ago. And this was one of the first books that we read, and it follows the main character who was in high school, and she was kind of like a mean girl, and she ends up mistakenly getting her soul taken by death. And during this time, she has to go back to 3 events that happened in her life, and if she would change them, and she was like led by like spirits and like angels and stuff like that, and then in the end they would decide if she would stay alive or if she would stay dead. So that ideally was the whole point of this book. So in this book, the characters that I felt like guided her through were the people that were impacted in her life. So for each event that happened in her life, there was one person that was affected, and that person was dead, and they were like an angel, and they showed her a memory that happened that involved them, and I felt like they helped her understand that it's not okay to be a shitty person. So in the end, she kind of learned from her lessons, and she learned from the people that showed her the past memories and the way that she handles situations, and I felt like she learned from that. So this really isn't something that I usually read, but this is when I first started getting back into reading. So yeah, it was a book club pick, and this is what I chose for this one. The next one is Spiderweb. So for this one, you have to pick a book that had a plot twist that was executed perfectly. So for this one, I chose The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Now, with her writing style, for me, it's like hit or miss. Like, The Coldest Girl in Cold Town, for me, was like a snooze fest. And this book, like 70% through it, was a snooze fest for me. So, yeah. But towards the end, it was a lot of things that unfolded and a lot of things that connected that I just felt like I was on the edge of my seat the entire time, and I was willing to sacrifice work and my time to finish this book because it was so good. Like the last 30% of the book was insane, and I felt like the plot was executed perfectly. So this is the one that I chose for Spiderweb. The next one is Howl. So for this one, you have to pick an animal that you would shapeshift into that's kind of creepy or dark or weird or something like that. So for this one, I chose a bat. Just because I couldn't think of any creepy animals, aside that are dark and spooky. I mean, bats are all I can think of. So yeah, I'm gonna roll with that. And they like nighttime. They're not out in the day, so I feel like I would be good because I'm not good with crowds. So I could just not be impacted by daily life, and I could just be living my best life as a bat. I'm pretty sure they're blind, so I'm already blind, so we already have that connection, and yeah. that's what I would choose for the creature that I would shapeshift into. Because I guess flying would be pretty cool. The next one is Witch. So for this one, you have to name a evil character that you kind of low-key liked. So for this one, I chose Manon from the Throne of Glass series. I can't remember which book she was introduced in. I want to say Air of Fire. I don't remember, but she was like my favorite character. I loved her more than Aileen, and I feel like she isn't fully evil. I feel like she just needed to work through some things and like get out of the mindset that she was raised in. But yeah, she's one of the witches that are in the Throne of Glass series, and she was one of my favorite characters, so I picked her. So the next one is Skeleton. So for this one, you have to pick a book or series that isn't what it once used to be. Like, it started off really strong and then it ended up being really weak for you, or you ended up not finishing it, or you just didn't care anymore. So for this one, I chose A Court of Thorn and Roses series, only because the last book I was just like, what is this? Like, it literally was just like a filler. It was unnecessary. I get that it was a novella, but it wasn't needed. So for me, I felt like it started off so strong, and I feel like each book gets weaker, or it's like too similar to the Throne of Glass series, so I can't really figure out. I started mixing up the characters, and it was like, it was too, you know, it was too predictable for me. And so yeah, I am going to finish the series, but it just didn't, it's not as strong as it was when it started, so I'm hoping that she gets back on her good vibes and continues the series, so she doesn't keep giving out books like this just because people are obsessed with it. Doesn't mean you have to keep making fillers because we like the characters. Like, we need some substance, we need some plot, we need some character development, we need something, because otherwise we just have a book with pages. And the 13th one, which is the last one, is Cauldron. So for Cauldron, you have to pick 3 characters that you would mix together and make into one. So for this one, I picked Aileen, I picked Hermione, and I picked Daenerys. So yeah, I just want to see what one combined person would be like with the 3 of them together, I guess. So yeah, I feel like Hermione's really smart, Daenerys is smart with war, and then Aileen's just like a badass who can do anything. So I pretty much just combined all of those super powerful female characters just to see what they would end up being if they were all mixed together. I think they would probably take over the world. So that is the end of my pumpkin painting book tag, and I do apologize for having to do like 2 separate videos just because of my fan issues, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to do this tag, just make sure that you tag the original video and let me know that you do it, because I would love to see what you guys paint your pumpkins as. And I'm going to tag Tabby, and I'm going to tag Courtney, because you guys are literally the only people that comment on my videos. So I'm just going to tag you guys, and I want to see what pumpkins you guys are going to paint. And if you want to do this tag, I will leave the questions in the description box below. Always remember, read a book, keep your life interesting, and I will see you guys next time.